Good morning, Boker Tov. In this week's Torah portion, Moshe goes to deliver the message to the Jewish people that the time for their freedom has arrived. And the Torah tells us, V'lo shamu el Moshe. They did not listen, they did not absorb or hearken to the message of Moses, because me'kotze ruach u'me'avoda kasha, because their spirit was broken, they had shortness of breath, and because of the harsh labor they were experiencing. And here we find something very interesting. When God came to Moshe at the burning bush and said, go tell the Jewish people the time of your redemption has arrived, Moses says, me? How can I go? I am a person who has a speech impediment. I am not eloquent. I'm not charismatic. I cannot be persuasive. How will I be the one to convince the Jewish people that the time of their freedom has arrived? And it turns out that Moses was right. The Jewish people did not listen to him, but not for the reason he thought, because he wasn't a compelling leader. It had nothing to do with him, but it had to do with the fact that the Jewish people were experiencing such brokenness, such shortness of breath and harsh labor that they could not hear the spiritual message of redemption. And here the Torah is teaching us a very fundamental lesson. Sometimes we want to improve someone's spiritual lot, someone's spiritual life. But first we have to address their physical material needs. Maimonides says that while the purpose of life is the spiritual attainment of greatness, but if a person is in a state of hunger, or a person is in a state of physical exhaustion, or illness, God forbid, they cannot be receptive to any spiritual messages. We all know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yes, the basic need of a human being is food and shelter. Above that is safety. Above that is love and belonging. Above that is a sense of self-esteem and worth and prestige. But the highest level is self-actualization, to realize our potential. That's the highest need of every human being. But you can't get to the highest needs if you don't address the basic needs of shelter, food, safety, security. Or as it was put by someone else, the story of Adam versus the story of Abraham. Adam's needs are physical, survival, clothing, shelter, the Garden of Eden. Abraham's need is Lech Lecha, the journey, the purpose, the mission of life. Yes, Adam's needs aren't as important as Abraham's needs, as Maslow's hierarchy of needs illustrates. But Adam's needs are prior to Abraham's needs. And the lesson is, before we could help someone emotionally, psychologically, spiritually attain greater heights, we first have to make sure we're caring for their material, physical needs. There's a story told about a certain rabbi who had to travel to another city. And he traveled all night, 10 hours straight through the night. When he arrived in the city, he said, before I go to sleep, let me go to shul and daven. So he goes to shul, puts on his talis and tefillin to do the morning prayers. And he's exhausted, but he's fighting his tiredness to be able to pray properly. His tefillin started to slip to the side, and it wasn't adjusted properly, as it's supposed to be a line between your eyes. So a man comes over to him and says, your tefillin is not straight, you need to fix it, you need to correct it. And he turned to the man and he said, I've driven all night, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. He says, I thought you would come over to me and say, welcome to our shul, what's your name? Do you need a place to sleep? Do you need breakfast? Instead, you come over to tell me that my tefillin isn't perfectly straight. And the message is so clear. When you see another person, before you worry about their spiritual development, make sure their material, physical needs are being met. Have a wonderful day.